That LED, that looks great.
I love that color on that. That is good.
Yeah, it looks good.
Hey, welcome to Motorhead Garage. Well, today we're going to tackle some gauges and put it here on a street rod. But you know, Sam, there's some problems you can run into with that, isn't there?
Yeah, and you know, you want a good look too. You want to make sure you use a high quality gauge and get the exact look you want. If you look at these different AutoMeter gauges here, they got some awesome look and they got some great features.
They sure do. And we've got the guy that knows all about gauges. Jeff King is here to visit. Come on in. Welcome to the show.
Hey, good, Jeff. Good to see you.
Good to see you, man.
You guys will excuse me. I'm going to go do some work.
All right, get to work.
All right, Jeff. What is the latest now in gauges?
Yeah, well, latest trend and what we're real excited about is our new Prestige series at AutoMeter. When you told me you're going to be working on a 65 Ford, I thought our new Prestige series would be the great series to offer for you. It offers the best of both worlds. It has all new advanced digital technology built into it, but with an old school muscle car look. It offers our through-the-dial high-def illumination, so you have real nice visibility in the car with a retro look and feel to it. Your speedo you can offer in either an analog odometer or with an LCD odometer,
Okay,
whatever
good.
the guy wants to have.
Good. I like the look of that thing. It is going to look nice with the 56 style. You know, it doesn't look out of place.
One of the exciting things for street riders is one of the best things you can do to update the look of your street rod, give it a different look and feel, is to swap out your gauges. You see them all the time, and they give your interior a whole new look and feel to it.
Oh, they sure do. Now, what's one of the key problems that you guys have run into with people trying to install gauges?
Well, I would say the #1 issue, and if you talk to our guys on the tech line, the #1 call we get is about wiring problems. It's easy to get confused and get the wrong wires hooked up to the wrong spot.
I'll bet you, of course, like anybody, you pull that dash out and you see all the wires in there. It's a rat's nest. And I got a feeling we kind of have some of that with this vehicle, too. Let's see what Sam's doing.
All right, now, what I found behind this gauge panel is typical sometimes when you have a guy rewire something. I don't want to beat him up too bad, but he's got all the same color wires. When it comes to gauges, you want to make sure you use a gauge harness or do it right. Red wire will be your switched ignition power source to the gauge. White will be illumination. Black would be your ground. And every sending unit will have its own color. So what I had to do was take some masking tape and a magic marker, obviously, and label these so I know where they go. The gauges I pulled out were electronic. We're going to go back with an electric fuel unit and, of course, your voltmeter. But for temperature, for water, and our oil pressure, we're going to use these nice full sweep mechanical gauges, because historically, a board tube mechanical temperature gauge is much more accurate. Now, they got a nice speedometer, and the speedometer has a nice look to it. These are full sweep gauges. It's got a LCD odometer in it. You can get a mechanical looking odometer to match the look you need. And the calibration, you know, when you put an electronic speedometer in, it's looking at drive shaft pulses from the sending unit. You know, calibration can be a nightmare, not with AutoMeter. Push the button, drive 2 miles, push the button. It's calibrated for your tire size, differential, and so on. Thing to do here now is try to patch these wires up a little bit, install our new AutoMeter gauges. All right, now look at all this stuff I eliminated here. You talk about a rat's nest. Now, it's not perfect, but it's a whole bunch better than it was. If you look at this, I've got white, that's our lighting. I've eliminated all the extra stuff that he had here. I got all the sender wires in. Now, all that's left is we got our gauges in. Actually, you can see the lights work. That's good news. My next step is to take our temperature gauge, which has this bourdon tube on it, which is a mechanical link to the gauge. So what you have to do is you have to thread it through the gauge panel, out through the grommet and the firewall that Dave put in, and he'll hook this up to the engine. Then in turn, he can pass me back the line for the oil pressure gauge. And thread this through. Now I'll take this bourdon tube here, and it's on hooked to the gauge, and I'm going to pass it through the front of the gauge panel, put our escutcheon on the back to hold the gauge in place. I'll thread it through the firewall to the grommet that Dave put in. He'll take it out and hook it up to the engine. On the other side of that coin, he'll go ahead and send me the oil pressure line, which will come in and attach with a little ferrule right to the back of the mechanical oil pressure gauge. Then I'll be able to put the panel in place, and we'll be in great shape. Right now, we need to take a break. Stick around. We've got a lot more coming on Motorhead Garage.
Okay, I think, is that it there?
Yep, you got no more?
Okay, hey, welcome back to Motorhead Garage. Well, what I've done here is I brought back our water line. This is the bourdon tube from the water gauge. And what we're going to do is we're going to mount it right in here, right on top of the block. What I've had to do is I've had to get a fixture for that. This is an adapter. Now what you want to do is you want to cover that with Teflon tape or a Teflon paste, which is what I'm going to do. It makes it a little easier. That's squirting out there. Just rub that around. You don't want to put a lot on there, just enough to seal the threads. And these are pipe threads, but this is always nice extra protection. Put that in here, like so. Get it started. Get the stuff out of the way there so I can do that. Okay, there we go. Now I'm just going to put it in there finger tight for right now, because I also have another adapter that's going to fit in here like this. And I'll put some Teflon tape on that. And then our tube will go in like so. So I have to route that. In the meantime, I also have to route my oil line. This is for the oil pressure gauge. And again, I've got a fixture here I've already made up. This is going to an outlet here in the back of the head. This is an oil passage in here I found. So I have to put that in there and run my line, my plastic line, around up through the dash, or through the firewall, up into the dash, so Sam can hook that into the gauge. You know, I'll go ahead and I'll stick this in. All right, Sam, here you go. Can you see it?
Yep, I got it. Perfect.
Okay, pull her through.
That's all I need.
All right, I've got everything dressed right now. And what I'm doing, I'm just trimming off these tie wraps so it looks neat, something you always want to do. Now what we've done here, I've got my Bourdon tube, my sensor already installed, got it all tight. I've taken my cable or Bourdon tube here and run it along here, put tie wraps on it to hold it in place. I also have done the same thing here with my oil pressure line, run it through the firewall, made a grommet so that'll keep it in place and it won't chafe or anything, so it'll keep it good and safe. All we've done now is we've done a quick test to make sure everything is okay, and we're pretty close to firing this thing up. And the last thing I have to do, of course, put in a little bit of coolant, because what I had to do is drain some of that out in order to go ahead and put in my temperature sensor on there.
All right, our gauge installation is done. These really look nice in this truck. They changed the whole personality. Now, when you put your lights on, you can see how nice those LEDs illuminate from the back. Even the tails of the pointers are lit up. It's really sweet. And of course, the dimmer in this truck doesn't work, but if it worked, the panel lights would dim accordingly. Now, we'll fire it up. Want to make sure everything that you had working before works now. You clear out there, Dave?
Okay.
Here we go. Well, look at great oil pressure. Look at that. It's going up there. Oil pressure, it's charging good. And then, of course, we got our fuel gauge working. There's our left turn signal, right turn signal, high beam, low beam. Jeff, everything's working great.
Oh, they look great.
Yep. What a nice set of gauges.
Ah, thanks.
And by the way, speedometers in these are real easy to calibrate. You push the button, you drive the truck 2 miles, push the button, it's calibrated, and you get a complete set of instructions with every gauge, follow the wiring. There's really nothing to it. Thanks for all your help today, buddy.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
We're going to take a break. We got a lot more coming on Motorhead Garage, so don't go away.